Welcome home and welcome back. Well, this is a unique place to be shooting a new video. It is beautiful April the 6th, and we're looking at now just, let's see. Oh my goodness, it's actually -1 right now. Oh wait, it's changing. Nope, 0. Okay, so I wanted to follow up on the month of April so far. And I'm just going to take a quick glance through my journal here and give you a fact sheet on what to be expected, what's to be expected coming into the spring, and then eventually the summer, and then okay, yeah, we're back to fall and winter again. But so I decided April is going to be a new month to release another series called Letting Go. I have released 2 videos so far, and there is about 18 in the lineup, and those releases will be random throughout the month of April. They will be from different sectors of the lifeline that I live in. So it'll be from different locations. It'll be on the move. It'll be in the truck. By the way, this is my partner's truck. It's a really nice truck, although it's already 2003. It's an old one, but you know, drives nice, and it keeps you out of the snowbanks because it has 4-wheel drive. It's not the best when it comes to fuel. It did at one time. Because it has a large tank and because our gas prices have gone skyrocketing again, along with groceries, which is unbelievable, which I'll get into in a moment. I want to let you know that to run this vehicle, because I'm a budget man, and I look at numbers, and not only for the statistics of what it costs to run a vehicle like this, for example, but also to run a company and a corporation, especially when you have so many segments in so many different areas and you're a one-man crew. Hopefully that will change in the future, but who knows? We just live for the day. So gas prices, incredibly high. You're going to probably see them even rise higher this spring and summer because a lot of people are going to be so fed up with being stuck indoors for the last 6 months, they're going to want to get out. So the government, who controls and basically decides for its people how much they're going to pay in fuel costs, to keep their thumb over top of their transits. So there's that to look forward to. Not encouraging, but you know, we have to really consider the electric industry and an EV, which I will get into again shortly. But getting back to the fuel situation with this truck specifically, it costs us $180 to $200 to fill this tank. Back about a month and a half ago, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. It is now costing us around $150 because the gas prices, of course, have fluctuated a little lower, but that's only because people were not driving. So, of course, what the government's going to do is lower the price so that it will manipulate people into driving. Because they can get out and do what they need to do in their lives in order to, operate their lives. So we're looking at a slight decrease in fuel costs. Insurance rates are going up, from what I understand. So you might as well tack on another, $10 or $15 on your monthly insurance costs for your vehicle. And what else is there? Well, there's maintenance, of course, that can depend on trivial things as to maintenance like tire repairs and oil changes and all of the other needed intentions for keeping a nice vehicle operating. Okay, so there's that segment of the economy that is hammering the individual who is still making less money than they did 3 years ago. Let's go to property tax. Those homeowners out there who, or landowners, any property owners in general, we just found out recently that our monthly tax bill for our property went up $40. That's a stupid increase to consider for anybody. And then you continue with this cascading effect, and we're going to start jacking up your basic needs. Food, clothing will probably follow. And as they do, every other retailer will increase their costs too, which then makes it even more difficult or more. You end up doing more stringent shopping for less valuable consuming goods. Basically, you get away from the nutritional value of food and you go into the processed value of food because it's cheaper and it'll sustain you longer, but at the same time it'll probably cause you harm and degrade your body functions as you get older. So we looked at fuel maintenance and auto insurance, all gone up. We're looking at property taxes, owners and retail and landowners taxes going up. We are going to go into this grocery increase as well. Here's a perfect example. Was it 730, I don't know, 750 milliliters or liters, 750 milliliters of Miracle Whip, for example. It's a product that is basically made up of disposable, consumable product that comes from some of the manufacturing around the world. Like oils and fats and what have you. For the last couple of months, there's been they average about between $3 and $3/4 from $5, between $3 and $3/4 to $5. Well, yesterday when I took a quick jaunt to the grocery store to pick up more of this Miracle Whip, it was at $6.76. So it's an increase of almost tenfold. Well, maybe not tenfold. Some of my numbers are not that great. But we're looking at an increase of probably twofold, if I'm reading it correctly in my head. So that's not encouraging at all. Because it's the summer and spring coming, we're going to have a lot of outdoor barbecuing and outdoor feasting and eating and whatnot. And you're going to find all those normal, regular products that you normally buy to give you a kind of ease to the summer and a relaxing time during those summer months, like barbecuing. All of those products are going to go up in price. Condiments, the meats, the toppings and consumable goods like lettuce and tomatoes and everything else. Like, this is ridiculous. They have, kilometers of greenhouses that grow these tomatoes and grow this lettuce, and some of them are so high tech that they can produce enormous amounts of this leafage and vegetables, and it costs them very little to operate, and they turn around and charge you, exponentially just because it's a product in demand. Okay, so we have looked at auto, fuel, insurance. We looked at property tax. We're looking at a GST increase, possibly a PST increase. We're looking at food and groceries increase. So what is next? Well, let me break it down to you and this will be the end of this video, really. Breaking it down, 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago now, they called on this C-19 and all hell broke loose. They created a scenario that would force people into a panic. Then a year and a half later, when people are like saying, okay, where's the proof? Where's the evidence? All of a sudden, there's more conspiracies coming out than there are truths. So during that time period, the government wants to have favor. So he's going to send you all $1,000, what is it, $1,800 a month for the next, 8 to 12 months or 8 to 18 months. So you're satisfied. You can basically survive on those mere pittance. We're going to throw in a few incentives like some tax breaks. We're going to throw in some incentives like housing and rental rebates. We're going to lower your current taxes because none of your kids are going to school, and so we don't have expenses there. So we're going to give you back some of the money you've paid over the years that has been exorbitant to begin with, because that's just the way the monetary system operates. It's like a balance sheet, I'm told. You can throw out billions and billions of dollars, distribute it over millions and millions of people, and then you start to rake it back, putting people under your thumb and dependent on you for their survival. Now, I think you can all answer this question. What is wrong with this picture? Well, up in Canada, it's nasty. And the only people to blame for it is the marriage between the NDP and the Liberals, because they have caused more catastrophe and chaos in the last 4 years than they have throughout their entire existence, which is saying something for them, because relatives from past parties were very similar in doing the very same thing. I just want to add a little bit here with regards to the Emergency Act. That's now going in federal courts, which is, from what I understand and from what I've been looking at on YouTube, it's a little more stringent and more accountable, from what we understand. So with regards to the protest, transport protest, here again, when they started funding the transporters to march on Parliament, and then the support was overwhelming. We're talking millions and millions of dollars donated to their cause. That says a lot to a group of people, or in this case, in the citizens of Canada. Now, they knew full well that this was going to go to court, because what they did was unforgivable and unnecessary and so profiling. Let's use that word just a bit. It was sinister from every perspective that you can possibly, from academics to some of the most intelligent people on this planet. It has all been sinister, and it's been put on by a global, yes, global action of what is similarly called the democratic system. Because you look at all of the countries that have free trade and trade with each other, that's where the control is and where the money is. So the intention has always been to be able to control your population. And the only way to do that is to pinch and pressure them in all of their basic financial and possibly day-to-day living needs. So you get hundreds of thousands of people donating millions and millions of dollars to a cause they believe in. This is threatening to the system, because now they already are aware and maybe had already planned that this would go to court, because as you saw in that inquiry, it was pathetic. I can't even begin to go there because it's just such a long story, and there's so much information that you can't even absorb it in such a short time. Needless to say, they pull the Emergency Act right from the pocketbooks of their citizens, because they know, thinking into the future, that they are going to face court challenges for what they did. So now, what is it that court does? Court costs money. And the only way to silence or suppress people's opinion and their law that is supposed to be abided by both parties, they suspend or cripple their financial assets. So this puts another pinch on, and a pinch and pressure on the ones that are going to be challenging the government over the next probably several years, I'm sure of it. So that was one of the reasons why this Emergency Act was invoked, because they need to seize up money that can be used against them. And that's what they did. Because when they moved it to a different system to raise that money, they tried to do it a second time and try and raise that money and try and pinch that money away from the direction of challenges in the courts. I, for one, my company, my partner, and yes, this is right down to our very own neighbors and contractors that we have hired over the past, have put us in that very same position, forcing us into a position of legals that will cost a lot of money in order to fight and argue it, to the simple fact that, for example, the last contractor that was hired intentionally tried and was capable of causing us financial harm. And that financial harm is still ongoing today because of damages that they caused intentionally. And you know what? Yes, they have been put on notice, and now we're gathering up the information in order to support our cause and our the law. You know, the same law that they're supposed to abide by, they don't. So we're stuck with this, you know, system that favors only the financials. So that was one of the reasons why the federal government did the Emergency Act, why they invoked it, because they needed to seize the monies that would work against them in the court days to come. I'm sure there's going to be this will be a fallout that will continue on for a very long time. And I expect because I've seen it already, that people are starting to rise up again this summer, in the spring. There were already demonstrations going on at our parliament in Winnipeg, up in Canada, or up in Winnipeg, whatever you choose to call it. Although I didn't know what it was, they were starting to bring in the forces, and once it gets known, once it gets to the point of exposure, people are going to push back, and it's their right, because you do not control the population. The population hired you to serve them, not the other way around. So there's a lot of protests that I expect are going to be following the next 6 months until spring. Maybe it'll even go into the fall and winter again, like it did with the transport company. I mean, really, January, February, thinking, oh, they're not going to protest. It's middle of dead winter. Why would they do that? Well, guess what? We're pretty residual that way, resilient that way. And that's saying something for Canada and its citizens. And that stems from our heritage. It extends from our ancestry. Although it's not a clean ancestry, but it is basically something that has been ongoing for millennia, since civilization became civilization. Or as they say, when language became language, when numbers became numbers and used to build and create. Okay, I'm starting to ramble on here. So that's pretty much a kind of a real sticky update for April. So we look at probably, you should see a lot of activity taking place over the next month or so. You see a lot of activity. Anyways, today we've got, temperatures are going to be warm again, warmer than they were yesterday. We had a very strong north wind, so a lot of the snow wasn't melting and going anywhere. And so now what we have to look forward to is all of this snow melt. If the south is seeing a lot of melt, then we're going to get their water. It usually flows north to Canada, and we have a lot of infrastructure that has been created and recreated over the years to allow and provide some state of safety for flooding. So that's the spring thaw, something to look forward to, and hopefully it's not going to be a disastrous one. Hopefully the summer doesn't become a dry one, and doesn't become a wet one, because either way, it's difficult to moderate food production and other types of events if your weather is not cooperating with you. But let's look forward to a beautiful summer, and look forward to being kind to your neighbor, and support your neighbor so that their voices are heard, and this community called Canada can be heard and seen up in Canada. And the federal government, well, you've got your challenges ahead of you. So for Up in Canada, I'm Dominic Raphael. This was my rant of the day, kind of an update on what's going on. I am hoping to accomplish more videos over the next week or so. I've kind of left it to the wayside because there's been so much other activity going on around. So from the beautiful sunny day of up in Winnipeg, over Broadway, and in my partner's truck, I'm Dominic Raphael. This is Up in Canada. And this is Changes Are Coming. This is, well, there's so many titles you can give it. So let's just say cheers. and we shall chat with you again. We chat.